Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
Where we continue to follow the capture and killing of Osama bin Laden now.
Those are just some of the scenes overnight as thousands of Americans gathered in celebration of Osama bin Laden's death.
Former Navy SEAL Rob O'Neill says he has thought about the mission every day since that May Day in 2011.
For multiple conversations you had with Rob O'Neill over the past year and a half, how'd you get
access? And you described that his head kind of exploded when you hit him.
I actually hit him 3 times because I shot him twice when he was standing and once on the ground.
That is the fucking American badass right there.
Go, go, go. We are not going for fame and we are not going for bravado. We are going for the single mom who dropped her kids off at elementary school on a Tuesday morning, and then 45 minutes later she jumped to her death out of a skyscraper.
If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator.
I'm Rob O'Neill, and this is the Operator Podcast. All right. After a few weeks off, we are back. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. This is the Operator Podcast. I'm your host, Robert J. O'Neill. In transit, we've been moving a little bit. It's been the holiday season, Christmas, that awkward time between Christmas and New Year's, and then the couple days after that, where I don't think the New Year really should start until the first Monday, which was January 6th, which turns out is one of. I always love to see what happens on January 6th, especially every 4 years when they need to certify whether or not it was a free and fair election. And it's always funny to watch that clown show on Capitol Hill. I'm in transit, not transit necessarily. I've moved to a new studio, as you can tell. I'm not organized yet, and it's not that I've gotten smaller. It's just the studio got a lot bigger. So I'm still trying to work out what's going to happen, what we're going to do here. It's exciting though because a lot more room, a lot more fun. I think the acoustics are better, bigger chairs. I had a desk last time, but now I have these. I got a couple big ass chairs, and it's going to be fun because I'll be able to bring some people in and get some interviews done and whatnot. So I do want to hear what you want to hear about, who I should interview, what should we talk about. I've got some good feedback on Insta at Mchooyah, MCHOOYAH, and also on at the Operator Podcast. That's the better one too. That's the Operator Podcast Instagram handle, not for nothing. And then also on Twitter too. You can follow me there. It'll be fun. And I'd like to hear what you want to hear, especially in the new year. I've heard a couple different things. We got a lot to talk about right now. I saw an interesting. It's 2025 and it's already getting really interesting. Between this administration leaving, what they're going to leave behind, it seems like they just want complete chaos. They want to make it. They want to cause as much destruction as they can before January 20th. So we'll see what they can do here and there. We've got obviously the Ukraine thing and then all the money thing. They just released 11 high-end Al-Qaeda terrorists out of Gitmo to get nothing in return. Just let them go because for some reason it's always been let's just close Gitmo because that was a thing during the start of the Iraq War because both sides, I don't know if you noticed this, both sides of the aisle they really don't like each other, so they're going to try to politic the shit out of each other, and we're seeing it because there is a uniparty in D.C. and we're seeing it now. That this new administration, the second Trump administration, especially with guys like Kash Patel, and then the Department of Government Efficiency, you're starting to see even the rhinos, the establishment Republicans, starting to freak out because they've been getting it, and not just they, but like the entire establishment, that whole pigsty of Washington D.C. They've been getting away with a lot of stuff for a long, long time, and these are their death throes, and they know that the truth is coming, and you're seeing a lot of stuff happen. A lot of people trying to say to Daddy Trump, we're sorry, Papa Trump. We're sorry, we're back. I mean, there's things like Meta, Facebook, Zuckerberg allegedly is coming around, and he's even saying stuff like, well, the fact checkers weren't. The fact checkers they weren't. We want to restore free expression on our site, and how do you reestablish free expression on your platform if you've been saying for 8 years, 10 years that there is free expression, but we've been suppressing it, but now we need to get rid of the fact checkers because they've been suppressing speech. And even the fact checkers from Facebook came out and said false. So the founder of Facebook is saying, my fact checkers have been lying, and the fact checkers came out and said, nuh-uh. So that's happening there. And then, Zuckerberg's someone who spent $400 million in 2019, 2020 on Zuck Bucks to get Joe Biden elected to beat Donald Trump. And now that he sees what's actually happening, and a lot of this has to do with X too, because believe it or not, the right's been suppressed a lot too, and the left has owned everything from the media to social media to everything. But now that X came around and Elon Musk, for personal reasons, bought X, and people can say whatever they want, and free speech isn't always pretty. I mean, X is still pretty nasty, but you're not getting suppressed. I mean, there's some bad stuff. Like, there's stuff on my feed that I'm trying to get rid of. I don't need to see. You click on the wrong clickbait, and they're going to keep shoving it down your throat. But so Zuckerberg's coming around. He's donating $1 million. Well, he donated $1 million to the Trump inauguration when he had $400 million to the Democrats in 2020. But he gave Dana White, the CEO of UFC, a board seat at Meta, which is great. Because I mean, I think Dana's one of the most. Dana White's probably one of the most honest, to your face truth guys. Businessman, obviously, and he'll be great to have there to maybe talk some sense. It's going to be fun to watch what happens to the purple-haired people as they sprint away from wherever, and probably with X too, they'll realize you fire 70% of the people, you're going to raise efficiency because you're getting rid of dead weight, and that's about it. Amazon, Jeff Bezos was just at Mar-a-Lago. They're spending $40 million to follow Melania Trump around with a camera crew. This is back when, from 2016 to 2020, she couldn't get a magazine cover. One of the few first ladies who wasn't welcome with the media, but now she is, because it's going to be popular. And Donald Trump he's like forgiving people too, because success is the ultimate revenge. Well, not the ultimate revenge, but it's really good revenge. And it's just the realization that a lot of these people are, these fact checkers are just government propagandists. That's pretty much all they are. And just the light is shined, the roaches are running, and it's going to be fun to watch. But I mean, there's already weird stuff. I just read a story today about a tattoo shop in Arizona. This is an interesting one too, and I want to get your take on this. There's a tattoo shop in Arizona that just gave about a year ago, gave a 9-year-old girl a tattoo on her arm, but her original request was to get a tattoo of Donald Trump on her neck. Now, I'm an independent. I lean right. I'm socially a little bit liberal. I don't think. Look, man, I voted for Donald Trump. I don't think a Trump neck tattoo is the way to go. Especially if you're a 9-year-old girl. But I guess the rule in Arizona is if you have parental permission, you can get in Arizona, you can get a tattoo anytime. Okay. So these parents, I don't know where they're from, but they drove to Yuma, Arizona. I think the name of the place is Black Onyx. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm not trying to disparage, because the tattoo artist tried to talk her out of it when she was 9. And actually, he like raised the price. He raised the price from an $80 tattoo to $500 to try to scare the parents away. They didn't even balk at it. He was able to talk them and her into not a neck tattoo, which is a great call. Tattoos are great. I have tattoos. I'm going to get more tattoos. Unless you're like, if you're in your biz and you're already established, neck tattoo, get some. But I think I'm not sure in a lot of industries maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think a neck tattoo of Donald Trump's the way to go. A little polarizing. And the parents, man, they drove over there. They paid the $500. He talked her into getting an American flag tattoo on her arm, and it looks very nice. He did a good job, professional tattoo. But even the tattoo artist said that even if it's really good professional work, and someone says, "Well, who did that?" and they say, "Well, that tattoo artist did," that kind of disparages them anyway. Even though the dude tried to talk her out of it. But Yeah, it didn't work. She got it. And she came back a year later and said, hey, I'm 10. I want the red tightened up a little bit. All right. And it's just interesting because I want to hear the argument from the parents who say, well, 9 years old is too young to get a tattoo. How are you on puberty blockers? What's your stance on teaching sex to kindergartners and pushing the LGBTQ agenda at kids when they don't even know the difference between anything and something else? But I want to hear that because it's an interesting argument because a lot of the you should be able to do what you want people are, they're arguing against you shouldn't be teaching kids this, but yeah, she can get a tattoo. They'll get a load of this though. There are places, I think it's New York and New Jersey maybe, or California, one of the far left states. But no matter if you have parental consent, your kid cannot get a tattoo. Isn't that odd? And then yet they're trying to let kids in elementary school, we'll call you whatever pronoun you want as long as you don't tell your parents. We won't tell your parents if Tommy wants to be called Sheila. It's an odd dichotomy, I guess. And I'd like to know where people stand on that. It's already a weird year. I just had a baby and she's not getting a tattoo. None of my kids are getting tattoos until they are old enough to decide for themselves. And if they need parental permission, I'm not saying yes. That's my opinion. I do want to hear what you think about that. It's an interesting line of thoughts. But the new administration is coming in, but we are seeing I'm going to talk about a few of the attacks, a few of the sleeper cell stuff that's happening. And you got to realize that just because Donald Trump's going to get inaugurated in a few days, a couple weeks, doesn't mean the damage isn't already done. The borders have been open. Al-Qaeda's here, China's here, Hezbollah's here, Hamas is here. We just saw an attack in New Orleans. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you got to realize that I need to talk about My Patriot Supply because I talk about them all the time. And we are in crunch time right now. And just because you're not at war with someone doesn't mean they're not at war with you. The new administration will be sworn in. But as great as that is, that also means our enemies have days left to stir up trouble. And so do some people in Washington. That could mean a cyber attack, an invasion, God forbid, a nuclear strike. A lot of creativity out there. So until the longtime bureaucrats are out of Washington, I personally am not taking any chances. That's why I have an emergency food supply from My Patriot Supply. Every member of my family has an emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Right now, they're offering $100 off their 3-month emergency food kit. It's got 2,000 calories per day for 3 whole months. It's plenty to get you through even a prolonged emergency. And their food kits last up to 25 years in storage. Think about when we ran out of toilet paper. What if we run out of food? Get this for your family. I got it for everyone in my family, even up in Montana. They keep it in their garage, 25 years. Plus, they come in rugged, weatherproof buckets. So go to preparewithrob.com. Preparewithrob.com right now. Get your 3-month emergency food kit. I've got them in my home. Like I said, they're stored, they're ready because my safety, my family security is worth it. So go to preparewithrob.com, order your 3-month emergency food kit now. I'm being serious. Preparewithrob.com. That's peace of mind. You'll feel better. And, when you need it, it'll be there. And of course, we have the anniversary I mentioned at the beginning of January 6th. January 6th, 2021, which is when we had the worst attack in American history, the most violent uprising against democracy as far as the media and the Democrats will tell you. But we had the anniversary, and they just can't. That's all they got, really. I mean, if you think about some of the talking points or the arguments that the left has, and they know that it's going away. They know their time is up. But they're just sticking with that January 6th, 2021. We're still not really sure what happened. Well, we know what happened. But we're not sure how many informants were in there, how many feds were in there encouraging this. Did you ever see that right before Ashley Babbitt was killed? By the way, the only person killed on January 6th. There was one shot fired on January 6th, and it hit Ashley Babbitt in the neck and killed her. But if you watch the footage of that, there's a dude that a lot of people are referring to as earmuff guy. And he's wearing, it's not so much earmuffs, is it more of a combination of earmuffs and like an Elmer Fudd hunting hat. But it's sort of it's obviously to block some sort of earpiece dude's wearing. And you can see him at so what happened is the crowd got into the the crowd got into the Capitol. I'm not justifying what they did too. I think it was really stupid. But the madness of crowds, you can, and this is a tactic a lot of agitators use. You can get a crowd amped up. You can get the herd mentality going. You can make people nuts. You see it all the time with the big crowds, a few agitators. They get people riled up on emotion. I'm not justifying it, and you know, I wasn't there. I'm glad I wasn't there. I'd probably still be in solitary, even if I was at DCA at Ben's Chili Bowl having a half smoke. But they were riled up. A lot of 2x4s around for some weird reason. A lot of stacks of bricks and whatnot. A lot of people breaking windows. But as they got to the speaker's office, there's a hallway there. They're trying to break into it. Shouldn't have been. They shouldn't have been doing it. But one shot was fired and killed Ashley Babbitt. But there's a dude. He's at the front of it. He's kind of agitating it. The gate's closed. Some of the cops are behind it. There's about 4 cops here. But he's talking to all of them. And he's trying to get people to break through. And as they're getting ready to break through the glass where said officers were behind it, you can see him wander down a set of stairs. And he's got a backpack. And he's almost being helped by some of the cops there to like change out his outfit or something. And you've seen the things with dudes being let out in cuffs and then they get uncuffed and they fist bump the cops there. You know, who's running this? Why did it take 4 years for us to get the video of a dude planting pipe bombs? There's a dude walking around planting pipe bombs. I think it was very near the Vice President-elect Harris where she was, and no one did anything. And now the FBI is they got a tip line. They're trying to get tips from the public. Well, we release this now 4 years later so that, you know, we can maybe someone can give us a tip. Is it because Kash Patel's coming in? He's going to just start knocking heads and cleaning out offices? You know, there's an 845 page, obviously, 845 pages they wrote about January 6, 2021. They barely mentioned the pipe bombs 5 times. I would think putting pipe bombs near the Capitol would be a big deal, but yeah, they're not really mentioning that. And how many informants were in the crowd? And then just look at the way that even you got these dudes in Congress and they're talking about the violence and AR-15s and they had spears. They didn't have spears. They had flagpoles with American flags on them. Again, they shouldn't have been in there. Don't go in there. It's stupid. But I mean, if you notice, a lot of them stayed in between the velvet ropes. You know, maybe we could have avoided the invasion of Iraq if we just put velvet ropes somewhere. You know, that would have, I don't know. But then they talk about all these, the violent insurrection, and they just love it. God, the Democrats just love this thing. It was a stupid thing. There's still people in jail over this, but they talk about the guys, the 5 officers who died protecting democracy. That's not true. The only person who died was Ashley Babbitt. She was shot by a cop, Lieutenant Michael Brown. The officers they mentioned, and I'm not disparaging them because they are dead, but Brian Sicknick, he died. He had 2 strokes the next day. 2 strokes, natural causes was the autopsy. He died on January 7th. Howard Liebengood died by suicide on January 9th. Jeffrey Smith died by suicide on January 15th. Kyle DeFreytag died of suicide July 10th, and then Gunther Hashida died by suicide on January 29th. That's disturbing as hell because I know guys that have PTSD. I struggle with it too. I know guys who have been to combat and question what happened, and suicide's a big deal. I'm not disparaging that, but it does beg the question if the Capitol Hill police no doubt were involved with this. The feds no doubt were involved with this. A lot of members of Congress were involved with this. There's a lot of shady shit going on that we might find out about but who knows? I mean, a lot of times they don't even want to release a lot of info to the public because apparently we're too stupid to handle it. But we should. I think a lot of stuff's going to come to a head here, hopefully. But I mean, again, they don't always tell us the truth. But the one shot that was fired was by he's now Captain Michael Byrd. He's a cop on Capitol Hill, and he's been around for a long, long time. And they hailed him as a hero. They didn't release his name right away. Why is that? If you're involved with a fatal shooting in the Capitol, you should your name should be released. If you draw your weapon and point it at someone in the Capitol or anywhere, we should at least know who you are. But this guy, Michael Byrd's been given very favorable treatment since it happened. He got a $36,000 retention bonus, more than $21,000 in security upgrades at his personal home. Huh. 21. I got nothing. I have to pay for. I have security, but I pay for it. I was never offered a ride. But anyway, and then there's instruction that Byrd doesn't need to sit for a fitness for duty evaluation after January 6, 2021. Why is that? Well, because he's going to fail it. But he's a captain now, and he's being paid $189,787 per year to be assigned at the Library of Congress. Could you guard a library for almost $200K? It's pretty good gig. But this isn't the first. And if you watch the footage, man, he fired one shot at a crowd, dangerous, and 4 cops in that crowd. By the way, I think it was a negligent discharge. I think he accidentally shot that shot, or he was being told on a different frequency to find a martyr or something like that. Something shady went on, but he's had shit before. In April of 2004, there was an incident. He was Sergeant Byrd. He was at his home in Maryland, and he heard some loud banging noises outside. So I guess he went outside, and he said there was a van that was coming right for him, so he shot at the driver with his service weapon. And his neighbor said he was in the line of fire when Byrd shot at it. And Byrd was saying that the guy was coming right for him, so he shot through the driver's side windshield, which wasn't the case. They found one entry. It was through the rear of the van, and it lodged near the gas cap, which means he didn't shoot at him as he was driving a threat towards him. He shot as he was driving away with the neighbor in between. Thank God the guy's a lousy shot and nothing happened when he hit the gas. But he got he got in a fight at a high school football game with another cop when he just jumping up and down crying. He said he was only picking on one. There were cops in the way of a high school football game trying to keep people off the track and off the field because parents go nuts nowadays too. And he got an altercation with another cop, and I don't know, they were going back and forth, and he jumped the fence to confront him. And he was suspended for a couple days. Michael Byrd left his gun in the bathroom at the visitor center at the Capitol for an hour before another cop found it and brought it back. I mean, what? Then he tried to get a shotgun one time. They wouldn't give it to him because he couldn't pass the background check or whatever fitness check you need for a shotgun. And then they said, well, we'll just give him one from. This is after January 6th. We'll just give him one from the Capitol. And I don't know if they did or not. We can't really get any answers about that. But again, he was awarded an unrestricted $36,000 retention bonus in August of 2021. Around the same time, other officers, including some who were injured, they got a $3,000 retention bonus, and I think he got that too. And there's a letter. It's not clear whether or not Byrd got other bonuses and stuff like that, but he violated Capitol Police Directive 1020.004. I'm not smart. I wrote that down. In which it states firearms may be withdrawn from their holsters only when officers are preparing for expected, prudent, and lawful discharge in order to protect themselves or others from imminent death or serious physical injury. But, the way I saw it, he negligent discharge, fired into a crowd, which apparently to him doesn't matter. You can shoot at vans going against you, whatever. And someone's going to... Why are they covering for him? Why is there so much good old boy network with this? And who's going to get busted when, January 21st? But here's a recap. Recklessly discharged his firearm at a fleeing vehicle and lied about it to investigators. Accused a police officer of being racist at a high school football game after a heated encounter. He left his service weapon almost an hour in a public restroom. Someone else found it. By the way, that's a gun-free zone. The bathroom in the Capitol, gun-free zone. You can leave yours here on the shitter, though. I'm sure one of your shipmates will find it. There's a few misleading referrals in a couple of reports. They just vanished. Obviously shot an unarmed 5'1" Air Force veteran crawling through a window. As a result, he received a promotion to captain, $36,000 in retention bonuses compared to the $3,000 other officers got. $21,000 in security upgrade at his house. He got $164,000 from a GoFundMe page they set up. He was given lodging at the Distinguished Visitors Quarters at Joint Base Andrews. And I don't know how many knowing the way this government spends, how many billions of dollars. He might have had a duplex with Zelensky or something like that. He was given a issued shotgun to take home for personal defense, but he never did get it because he failed the proficiency test for a shotgun. I talk about shotguns. They're good, they're easy, they're fair. They don't lie. He a 5-day week, 5-day work from home at like a telework thing. I don't know how you do that as a security cop at a library, but he failed to comply with and was subsequently given retroactive administrative leave for that period, and instructions to skip a fitness for duty evaluation for fear of failing and thus not being permitted to carry a firearm. Can you imagine that in your line of work? Well, we were going to evaluate you, but we can't because you'd fail, and then you can't do. Like, imagine if you're like working at McDonald's and it's like, I was going to cook the burgers on the flat top, but I took an eval from my manager, my brother Tom, and I failed, so now I can't have a spatula. That's basically what it is. So he didn't test me, so now I'm flipping burgers, and occasionally I might flip one the wrong way and hit some innocent person in the neck. But a good New Year's resolution that you could have is stop being a stankin' ass. I'm bringing this up because of the sponsor of the show is Mando, with the whole body deodorant. New year, stop stinking. This is a new year, and I'm talking confidence in a can, baby. The whole body deodorant. This simplifies your hygiene. It's the only thing you really need to pack. The full body deodorant from Mando. I travel a lot. I can work 19 straight days without laundry out of carry-on. I've been jumping on planes every single day, basically, for the past, I don't know, decade. And you could be packing anything too, golf shoes, your tux, whatever kind of Viking helmet, whatever you want. But the full body deodorant, you can get it in quality scents. Mount Fuji is fresh and woodsy, bourbon leather, sweet and sophisticated, just like you. Pro Sport is clean and citrusy. You can get unscented. My go-to is Mount Fuji. It's a great one. It immediately caught my wife's attention when I sprayed on the Mount Fuji, and I was in I used the spray deodorant, and she thought I had lit a candle in there or something like that. It was just the deodorant. She loves the new stuff, and now that I use Mando, I will not use anything else. She won't let me use anything else when she's around, and I don't need to embellish the benefits. It's seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Your pits, packages, grundles, all that stuff. It's created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal body odor was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. And Mando is American-made. The whole body deodorant is powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use anywhere. It's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, cruelty-free, vegan, dye-free, clinically proven to work a lot longer than just soap and water. You want to try America's #1 whole body deodorants from Mando? Try it right now. You can get it at Walmart, Target, other retails, or go to shopmando.com and use code THEOPERATOR. Shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com. And use code THEOPERATOR. Support the show. The Mando Startup Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with the solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products. I like the mini body wash and the deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer, though, you get $5 off your starter pack when you use code THEOPERATOR. That equates to 40% off your order at shopmando.com. SHOPMANDO.com. Use code THEOPERATOR to boost your confidence from head to toe. Also, I don't know if I added this, but Captain Michael Byrd, dude who killed Ashley Babbitt, they're allegedly they want to get a pardon for him. My question is on that, if you're a national hero who gets all kinds of special treatment and like a standing ovation from at least one side of the aisle at the State of the Union, if you're a hero, why do you need to get pardoned? Why do a lot of people need to get pardoned? But yeah. Anyway, jumping back and forth between stuff too. At The Operator Podcast, I've said this before. I call it that because if you're doing stuff to help somebody else, you're an operator. So I'd like to get your opinions on things on my social media, @McCuya, at The Operator Podcast. And I want to hear also what you want to talk about, because I have a tendency to take notes but not follow them. And it always seems to get political. Hopefully not. I mean, politicians are always politicking it up. And they're always trying to raise money. They always want their next term. It's going to be interesting now to shake it up, but we'll see how it goes if it stays as business as usual, whatever. But we always end up talking about politics, and I don't want to. But I have been reading some of the comments. I'm cautious to read comments on X because it's it's a wild west as far as comments go, and people can be rude, believe it or not. But I have got some interesting questions too. I want to get into a couple things that people have been asking a few times. So I'm going to touch on it now just to jump around for something from my insight and personal experience, because a lot of the stuff, especially stuff that's happening now, I wasn't there And if you weren't there at the time, you can only take someone's word. You only know what you're told. But I'm going to give you my opinion on a couple things that people have asked me several times. I'm bringing it up now because at the start of the year, we can do more of this if you just hit me up in the comments and tell me what you want to talk about. One question I keep getting asked is about female Navy SEALs. I get asked a lot, what are my thoughts on can women be Navy SEALs? I mean, the answer right now is no, simply because they're not allowed to go to SEAL training. Will they? I don't know. We were on that path for a while because back around the summer of love, a lot of people just lost their effing minds. And a lot of us tried to play along with it. Down is up is down. You can be whatever you want kind of nonsense. And it seemed like 99% of us were bowing down to the 0.05% of completely mentally ill people. And we're worried about telling the truth because we might offend someone stupid. So we might be getting past that now, maybe not. But this is I think we're coming back to a little bit of normalcy. And not that you shouldn't be able to do whatever you want. If you're a grown ass person, behind closed doors, fine. Just stop pushing it in everyone's faces and stop throwing your agenda. I even heard an interesting theory about the feminist movement is actually a government psyop because, and bear with me, this isn't my thought, but it's interesting that the government decided a while back if we can get both a mom and dad to work, that's double the tax revenue we're going to get, plus the state can raise their kids and we can all be good little communists. Interesting if you think about it. Because the whole time, I mean, you look at it now, the left wants to get rid of the nuclear family because they want chaos. And if you master the basics and keep it simple, the base of a great country is a nuclear family. If you have a good family in a good neighborhood next to another good family, that makes what? A good community. And these are good people. But if you can spin that all up and you want the chaos so the communists can come in, that's part of the plan. But anyway, a couple years ago, we were supposed to say, yes, men and women can do whatever they want. They're all equal. I still stand by, if you don't lower the standards, then everyone should be welcome. I do believe that. And I think SEAL training is the last bastion of equal opportunity. You have an equal opportunity to show up. Then it's on you, and it's on merit alone. That's it. But I don't care. I've said this before. You may have heard me say it before. I don't give a shit what you do behind closed doors, what you call yourself. If you can carry me and my body armor after I've been shot and bring me home to my wife, then I will serve with you. If there's an issue that might affect readiness of our unit, because our unit should only, our job is to show up and kill you. The rest can be for the State Department and the diplomats. I don't care about your ideology or who you sleep with. If you can fight and carry me, that's fine. So if they don't lower the standards and women can get through, great. I would serve with them, me personally. I'm saying with women, with anybody. The women aren't there yet. The Army has put women through, I want to say the Q course and Ranger School, but I've heard from Rangers and Green Berets and some friends at Delta that they wildly lowered the standards so they could push women through. And I don't think that's the right way to go. And don't get me wrong, man. There are some badass women out there. I just don't think the majority of women could get through SEAL training. But we did also learn that there is a place for them. And I've worked with special operators who are women. They weren't Navy SEALs. They weren't Green Berets, but they were special operators. And they had a very, very good place, especially in Iraq and Afghanistan, because we, as knuckle-dragging frogman, we didn't have the respect of the locals. When the wars, especially when they first started, we didn't give a shit who they were because we thought everyone was a bad guy. But it turns out in a combat zone, not everyone's a bad guy, and a lot of people are just trying to get on with their life. So when you go into a place, it doesn't matter what your intentions are. If you go to someone else's house, you are an occupier. So you need to respect the locals there. And if you go in with a bunch of men throwing the local women around, you're not going to win hearts and minds. So we did have and there were some badass women too. One of the gunfights I remember getting into, this was like January of 2012. So this is after the Bin Laden raid, after Blue rescued Jessica Buchanan. We were in a frozen swamp in Afghanistan, and there was probably 30 dudes and 3 women. So 33 people. We're in a frozen swamp. We get in a gunfight. 30 people were complaining and 3 were not. So all the team guys were bitching. The 3 women, they didn't say a word. And we got back. I remember saying, there's a difference between bitching and complaining, and you didn't do either. And the women said, well, we kind of want to keep our jobs. So long answer, short. No, there aren't female SEALs. Will there be? I don't know. I hope they don't lower the standards. The way this soft ass country is going, though, what we do is we just lower the standards. So I don't want to see that in the military, especially with what's coming. So that's my opinion on that. I hope I answered it. And again, if there's some badass women listening right now and you happen to be like a black belt, don't kick my ass. I'm just saying. But you got to figure with the rigors of what it comes with, the massive amounts of pull-ups, the soft standard, not that I'm just saying, don't lower the standards. And then the other question I get is about someone asked me about a couple times the personalities from the squadrons at SEAL Team 6, because there are personalities. There's 4 squadrons, red, blue, gold, and silver, and they wanted to know the difference. When I first got to SEAL Team 6, I was at Red Squadron, and we were sort of known as the unnecessarily overtraining squadron. Like, we're the first ones there. We're PTing like as a group. I wouldn't put circle jerk PT past Red Team, at least when I got there. All 4 squadrons, hilarious. The senses of humor are great, but there were definite personalities. Red Team worked way too hard. Blue Team, these are all hardworking squadrons. Blue, I remember, were like, you could, if you were around a bonfire sharing a keg, you could go up to a dude with the bones from Blue and definitely get a cigarette because they got them. No nonsense dudes, all. The ones who impressed me was Gold, because they were like the go fuck yourself to anybody. Great dudes, hardworking, love all of them. But Gold were the ones that that I think Marcinko, the founder of SEAL Team 6, would have been most proud of, because literally, like, we're going to do this, and if you don't like it, you can fuck off. And then I was also part of Silver Squadron. After the Bin Laden raid, I did one more pump as a team leader at Silver. And Silver was funny because that was a conglomerate of all of them. That's where they came up with the Headhunter, which is you got the skull from Blue, you got the sword from Gold, and you got the tomahawks from Red. They call it the Headhunter. And just so all 3 squadrons mixed into one, just incredible, because the standard operating procedures were similar, but there were just little tweaks that guys would put on it. So Silver was able to do that. A lot of young guys came in there. It was neat to watch it. But the funniest thing about Silver was the way that they got their name was started by a rumor from Gold Team. Because there was rumors when we had 3 squadrons, red, blue, gold, that we're getting a 4 squadron because Delta's getting a 4 squadron. We're going to try to match up deployment cycles. And the rumor on the second deck where the squadrons are, they said, yeah, I heard it's going to be called Silver Squadron. Like, yeah, why would they do that? And the guys from Gold will say, oh, because Silver's not quite as good as Gold. So, I mean, that's all tier 1 operators, all awesome dudes. It takes a hell of a lot to get to SEAL Team 6. And there's a difference between SEAL Teams and SEAL Team 6 that a lot of people don't know. If you want me to get into that later, I think I have before in the past. I can touch on it again, but just another ridiculous selection course. I think the hardest selection course in the world to get to SEAL Team 6. And, not everybody gets there. But those, as far as I could tell, were the 4 personalities of the squadrons. I'd go to war with any of them. And 2, there's personalities everywhere, and a dude from Delta will say they were better than the guys from 6, and guys from 6 will say, well, we were better. But I don't consider anyone better. They were just different, and they brought skill sets to the table. And the best example that I have of that is in 2005, in June of 2005, when we had to go up in the Korengal and try to find any survivors from Red Wings, the lone survivor. I'm very proficient outside. I can use a map and compass. My land nav is really good. I can use all the stuff that we had at the time. The GPS wasn't as good, and you shouldn't rely on that anyway. You need to know the basics. But I was there as a SEAL Team 6 guy, but I was really happy that we had RRD Ranger snipers there, guys that I know still that went to Delta. It was really nice to have them around, different skill sets. Very impressed with their land, and it's Army, man. Some of those dudes and some of the stories I've heard from like the long walk and the shit that Army does. 2 is 1, 1 is none. If you're doing land nav, there's nothing wrong with having a Ranger with you, man, because they're really good. But when it all comes down to it, I do think it's important to realize one team, one fight. We're all there together, and there are arrogant attitudes out there. But boy, most people coming to the table, you can learn some land nav from a Ranger. You can certainly learn how to mix up an MRE from a Marine. All kinds of good stuff. You can learn where the best hotels are from the Air Force, shit like that. Oh, and I guess we need to talk about some current events. Obviously, hey, the new studio too. You can see more of my ink. If any of you are Chinese speakers, I got they always tell you to get at least like 2, maybe 3 people to confirm what you get tattooed on you in a different language, especially. I thought this was like an island language, but if you can read it, I'll tell you. If you want to hear the story, I'll tell you. It's a funny story. I got something tattooed on my arm. Not quite what I thought it said, but the story's good. If you want to hear it, I'll tell you. Stuff going on right now. Obviously, prayers up. Southern California, LA's burning, and I hope it doesn't get political because right now it's saving lives. Just the winds are kicking up. It's horrible what's going on down there. And then Texas is freezing. I read a bad story about someone trying to get shelter and freezing to death at a bus stop. That's just bad out there, man. And again, not to get political, I hope everybody tries to take care of each other. If you see someone freezing their ass off at a bus stop, pick them up, turn the heat on or something like that. But and then I got asked about the bombing at Trump International in Las Vegas. I don't know enough about it to really to touch on it. I know that they're saying that the former Green Beret, Matt Leibelsberger, had an argument, I guess, at home, or home life wasn't good. PTSD, I'm assuming. The guy had he'd been to combat several times. He had several awards with Valor, combat infantry, stuff like that. Green Beret, obviously stud. And the story is he rented a Cybertruck, went in front of Trump International, filled it with firecrackers or fireworks, and blew his head off with a 50 cal Desert Eagle. And then it blew up, but it was inside a Cybertruck. And I guess the two stories are, he didn't want to hurt anybody. He wanted to make a statement. And because of the way the metal framing on a Cybertruck, the blast went up. It didn't go out, and the metal absorbed it, I guess. And like everything else, like body burnt beyond recognition, but they found a perfectly intact passport, military ID, and then a manifesto, which everyone seems to write a manifesto. I don't know. But I don't know enough about it. I do want to hear what you think. It's terrible. I hate to see people hurting, especially with PTSD. Like a lot of guys are on the cusp and they won't tell you. That's why I also hate when veterans attack each other for absolutely no reason. A lot of guys are hurting. I've seen it. I've experienced it. And I hate to see that happen, regardless of what happened. That's just shitty situation. I wish I knew more, but I don't. To get into current events, man, there's all kinds of stuff going on with the Trump administration coming in. They want to buy Greenland. We want to buy Greenland. Want to make Canada the 51st state. They're firing back. The Panama Canal, which is a complete shit show. And that's actual national security. The Panama Canal, because China's running it. They'll say they won't. There's 2 Chinese companies running security, but it's not like some investors in China got together and said, hey, let's put some money together and we'll just protect it. You don't do that in China. It's being run by the Chinese Communist Party. You don't get to negotiate like you do here. It's the brilliance of communists like the left wants to bring here. And a lot of guys from the left, they're already corrupted by it. There's so much blackmail that the China has on you won't see a lot of California congressmen mentioning China because there's so much dirt. China has so much dirt they don't want to be exposed. And that's why a lot of them hate Donald Trump so much, because he's going to expose, I think he will. Like they've mentioned it before. He was going to release the Kennedy files, and then I guess he read them and said, well, the American public can't handle that. Why is that? What can't we handle? Is someone still alive that was involved that might get embarrassed, or should they be in fucking jail? I don't think it was Lee Harvey Oswald. He even said he was a patsy. I don't think Jack Ruby was just a patriot down on his luck. What is it in the Kennedy files that Donald Trump and Kash Patel have read that they won't tell us? Was it the Freemasons, the Illuminati, some secret societies that couldn't handle the Kennedys coming in? Was it the mafia because they said they'd help him get elected, and then he appoints RFK as Attorney General? both Kennedy brothers end up getting assassinated? Who's involved? Why can't they tell the American people? I mean, do our votes even count? I don't know. We'll see, man. Trump's in his second. Isn't that funny to think, too, if the left just wouldn't have cheated, they'd be done with Donald Trump right now? It's almost funny. If it wasn't tragic, it wouldn't be funny. But so Donald Trump's coming in, and he's not making military threats. He's a negotiator. I don't know if you know that about him. And he's a guy, finally, someone who comes in and has your best interest in mind. And not just America's, the West, Canada. Well, even right now, because he's talking about buying Greenland. It sounds silly to people who aren't paying attention. To people who just say this is the way we've always done it. Buying Greenland sounds like, well, there's no way they would do that. Well, no, but he said he might. And he's a man of his word. And he's a guy that will sit at the negotiating table. And if you're sitting across from him, you know what you're getting. And he's a guy that will tell you what he wants to do. And if you don't believe him, he'll leave. Or he'll tariff the shit out of you. And he'll hurt you economically. But if you want to succeed, he welcomes you back. And we're seeing it right now, even with the media. Look at Joe and Mika rolling down there, bending the knee. Oh, it's funny. But so Greenland is a if it was a country, it would be the 5th largest in the world. But it's not a country; it's a territory, and it's run by Denmark, which is fine. But Denmark will not let Greenland be explored, and they're so rich in very rich in natural resources. But Denmark, either because of the planet will heat up, or whatever they lie to you about, or they don't have the technology to explore the natural resources. The rare earth minerals in Greenland are outstanding, and I mean, if we could get it as a state, that'd be great. I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think what's going to happen is it will be. Hopefully, we can get some leases to put military bases there in Greenland so that we can explore. Because when it comes down to it, look, I mean, you can lie to yourself all you want. It's coming to a head with China. And hopefully not a war. I don't want that. I mean, we got this drone shit off the coast of the East Coast. It's being hit ad nauseum. I'm not going to give my thoughts on that yet, but they're out there. And people who don't believe in them have seen them. I've been to New York. I've been to New Jersey. I've talked to people who have seen them, and it's not fun. But it's going to come to a head, and it's going to come down to energy. You're not going to win a war with a windmill. A lot of windmills in Denmark. That's great. But if we could put bases on there, and you got to figure it, even if Denmark could sell leases or whatever, get involved with the trading of the rich minerals, man, get the energy going. Plus, consider the strategic placement of Greenland. You're flanking Vladimir Putin right there. And I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. I don't care which side of the Ukrainian war you're on. It's not a bad idea to get the strategic advantage against. I mean, especially when you're considering what's happening in the Panama Canal. Then you get up into Greenland, have some bases there, some more resources there, because that place could be rich. And I think the people of Greenland, 56,000 people who live there, would like to have that. But who knows? And then there's Canada. Canada's being funny because the United States subsidizes Canada with everything, with bargains, with free military support in the hundreds of billions a year. That's going to stop, and it's up to Canada what they're going to. And they're getting cute too, like, well, you want to make us the 51st state? Well, we'll just buy Alaska, and then we'll take Minnesota. It's like, first of all, fine, take Minnesota, whatever. Let's take it. But you're going to buy Alaska, fine. For how much? You can't afford it. I love you, America's hat. I'm kidding. I love Canada. But they're all these softy politicians are coming out saying that Donald Trump, he's an imperialist dictator who wants to take over. No, he's not. He's the president of the United States, and he's negotiating the deal for once in your best interest. And the only people who have a problem with that are the people who are going to get busted for all the shit they've been doing, to include the media and politicians, because they know what they've been doing. And we're going to find out, and they don't want that. That's why they hate him. They have no other reason to hate him other than that. And you got guys up in Canada saying, oh, that's fine. At least we don't put a felon and a sex offender in office. Really? E. Jean fucking Carroll? You believe her? Really? The George Soros appointed DAs that make shit up? Really? George Soros has got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Did you see that? His son grabbed it for him. George Soros, who started his career off as a Jewish guy in Hungary during the Holocaust, and he faked and said he was a Catholic, lived with a Catholic family, and started turning in Jews who were hiding. Here's your guy, Presidential Medal of Freedom. I thought those were for Americans. Nah, Soros got one. Messi didn't show up for his. Just handed them out. Magic Johnson got one. That's great, too. He gave one to Hillary Clinton, Presidential Medal of Freedom. He might as well hand out blanket pardons, too, for whatever they've been up to. But that's it. But you finally got a president who's in office, who has your best interests, has the West, wants to compete against China and Russia, which we should like. And here's something that you might not recognize because Trump gets named a lot of names. Do you know the only president in the history of the United States whose lineage was not slave owners? Donald Trump. And speaking on training, ocean pull-ups, cold, Hell Week, stuff like that. I was talking about different people from different services and whatnot. I remember being in the water during Hell Week, which is the hardest part of SEAL training. And that's off the coast of California. And you're in the water, you're cold and wet and miserable the entire time. I'm getting to a point here. And I remember being in the surf zone, looking up at the F-18s flying over us. And I think even F-14s at the time. That's how old I am. Flying over us as we're in the surf zone, going over to North Island to land, and thinking how jealous I was of the pilots because they're dry. And it's almost one of those things where I wish I was smart enough to have gone to the academy so I could fly one of those things and not be here. But it just reminded me of being jealous of people who are dry and getting some sleep. And that brings me to a point. If you haven't been to MyPillow.com, especially after New Year, you got to go check it out because I was thinking about sleep. I was thinking about being warm. And then I started thinking about being dry. My towels are insane. The bedding at go to MyPillow.com and the pillows, the bedding, the toppers, the clothing, the slippers, sweats. Like that's my new gig. I want to work in sweats, just like Barack Obama did in his third term. Sweats in the basement, someone with an earpiece, coffee, kitchen stuff, pet stuff, dog blankets. MyPillow.com. Go there, look at all the cool stuff you can get. My coffee, and use code The Operator. Huge savings. My wife loves those. I always bring her up. Jessica loves the towels. Towels are amazing. The sheets are amazing. She didn't want to, but she loves them. My mom actually got Jessica some my slippers. She loves them. So MyPillow.com. Code The Operator, get big savings. And you can also call 800-924-7208. 800-924-7208. But go to MyPillow.com. Use code The Operator. Look at all the cool stuff you can get there. It's awesome. And that's a little bit up north, a little northeast. But then you got to talk about the south, too. The southern border with Mexico. The Gulf of America. That could happen. It sounds, people think it sounds silly, but that's he's just Donald Trump coming out saying Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. You know what he's saying? And I'm being serious because we've been taking it in the a-hole from Mexico for the past 4 years. Is what he's saying is we can do whatever we want in Mexico. Guess what? You are irrelevant. We can there's nothing you can do. He'll just tariff the shit out of you. Close the borders. And he means what he says. Close the border. And they will. They better, because the damage has been done. Same with Hamas. If the hostages are not released by the 20th, Hamas, you're going to have some splaining to do, and you're going to get bombed into oblivion. And I don't know what that means, man. And I'm not promoting getting... Look, if I could snap my fingers and have world peace, that would be awesome. I would do it. But a lot of these people don't want that. So... we'll see, but the Gulf of America sounds fun. That's another one, too. Like, if you go over to the Persian Gulf, it's either the Persian Gulf or the Arabian Gulf, depending on to whom you're speaking. But then there's the Panama Canal, which is... Now, see, this is actual national security, the Panama Canal. Our national security is not in Ukraine. It's not a threat to our democracy. By the way, if we had Greenland, too, NATO, irrelevant. But the Panama Canal is... very important because, like I said, the Chinese now are running it, even though they said they won't. Even on Christmas Day, Donald Trump tweeted out even the Chinese soldiers who were guarding the Panama Canal. The Panama Canal at its time was probably the greatest man-made achievement, still might be, ever, because what it did is the Panama Canal is obviously in Panama, and it cuts. It's the quickest way to get from the Atlantic to the Pacific, because going either way, Pacific, Atlantic, Atlantic, Pacific, you used to have to go way down south, damn near to Antarctica, which is, the conspiracy theorist, the big ice wall. But you used to have to go around the southern tip of South America. But now you can just obviously cut through, because it was put in there by Teddy Roosevelt. And then Jimmy Carter sold it famously for $1. And that was a show of goodwill. Like, hey, we'll give you this. But obviously we do the most shipping through there. So give us a deal, which they're not. They're sticking it to us because that's what we do as Americans. We're the big, dumb, tough guy. We don't realize we're getting taken advantage of until we do. And then we can drop the hammer. But you got to figure, if China owns that and there is a major war, and we're talking like, we're almost to a Cuban Missile Crisis type state right now. If China owns the Panama Canal and we need to get troops quickly from the Pacific to the Atlantic or vice versa, and we can't go through the Panama Canal, we're not going to invade Panama again, I don't think, not with Trump in office. But if China owns it, that's bad. And this is some major national security stuff. And anyway, so he's just, he's looking at that. He's talking to the president of Panama to see what they're going to do. And he's hitting up China too. But you got to strategically, Panama is way more important than Ukraine. Ukraine's where they launder money. Ukraine's where our politicians get rich. But again, Donald Trump's at the negotiating table, and all he's trying to do is look out for you. But hopefully we can see how this all shakes up too with the new administration, and hopefully a new way to get away from a lot of this politically correct bullshit. It's worse than politically correct. To include the media, I can't spare that enough, because even like Nancy Pelosi herself has admitted that if you can tell the public something over and over and over and over, eventually they're going to believe it. And that's what happens. And then people get stuck in their echo chamber and they believe the nonsense. They keep even with congressmen coming out and publicly saying, bringing up January 6th, again, 2021, of AR-15s in the building and all these officers killed. No, they weren't. And you're lying and you know it, but you've been spinning it so much, and half the country doesn't listen to logic. And then they just believe that stuff. So somehow we found ourselves, 20 plus years after 9/11, we found ourselves in a place where elitists have convinced everyone that radical Islam is no longer a major problem. It's like, I personally think radical Islam is a bigger threat than the domestic terror threat posed by Christian grandmothers praying outside of abortion clinics. Not really a threat. Or, parents going to school board meetings and saying, hey, this is wrong what you're teaching my kid. And you pipe up to the elected whatever, and cops show up and arrest you or put you in jail for being a white supremacist, and they've ignored what happens. The 9/11 Commission, 2 decades ago, strenuously recommended that we secure our borders. What do? We open it up. What could possibly go wrong? We'll just open the border, because it's a political thing for chaos and for possibly more voters. Well, what could possibly go wrong? Well, New Orleans. That's what can go wrong, and that's one. 14 dead. Department of Homeland Security was in charge. And they're putting the same people in charge of security for the Super Bowl. Same place, too. That this is New Orleans, where they refuse to admit the truth of what the problem is, but they're really, really good at taking down statues of Robert E. Lee. They did that, renamed the bases, but they're not paying attention. They can't even put up roadblocks. They still have the same roadblocks that aren't there. Like they put a squad car in the middle, and he drove around it, killed 14. It's a shame. But that's what comes across the border, and that's how fast it can happen in these gun-free zones. Security at the Super Bowl is going to be fine. I know who's in charge of that, so they'll be good. But this nonsense of lying to people for the sake of political power and getting elected is crap. Just recently, 3 days ago, the Biden administration released 11 Al-Qaeda terrorists from Gitmo. 11 dudes from Yemen. Like, if you're still at Gitmo, you are a high-end terrorist. You are a tier 1 level terrorist. And they released 11 of them to Oman, saying they've been, they're better. They're healed. Even when Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind on 9/11, is down there still. Oh, by the way, they're still trying to work a plea deal with him for some friggin' reason. He stood up in court and yelled, "I did it before. I admit to doing it. I'll do it again." That's an admission in court. But no, they released these guys, right? And now they're going to go to Oman. What do you think they're going to do? We're sending $50 to $80 million a week to the Taliban. Yes, you are. Your tax dollars, we'll call it $70 million a week, are going to the Taliban. And training camps are there. They're training people up. They're able to issue dudes from Yemen an Afghani passport for whatever reason. Didn't matter for a few years. What you think a dude who working for Homeland Security, trying to cover or Border Patrol, can tell the difference of a dude who is actually from Yemen, but he has an Afghani passport? These 11 dudes are going to go right. They'll probably be in leadership roles. They're going right back to Al-Qaeda, and they want to kill you. And we release them. And they're working to release more. Why? Because this administration wants as much chaos as they can before they leave. Why? What's going on here? This is really dangerous. I take it personally. I take it seriously. This is real. I've seen these people. I know what they're capable of. And you better be able to defend yourself. This is why you kill these people on sight. This is why we went over there. We could have ended this war in 3 months. Bin Laden should have been killed at Tora Bora. But we decided to negotiate for some weird reason. We did. Maybe if we are nice to the locals. But no, you kill them on sight. And even when you go, this is again why the rules of engagement are nonsense. Take the cameras off. Don't bring the officers with you. Go inside and kill them. And then you come outside, you tell them what they want, and then they report it. You don't give them the opportunity to do this. Osama bin Laden would still be on trial today if we didn't kill him. He would still be making a mockery of this country. He'd be in New York right now still on trial, and there would be media defending him. No, we went in and we killed him. And that, by the way, is what we were going to do anyway. I didn't go in there with a laminated sheet of how to say drop your weapon in Arabic. I can say drop your weapon with my index finger when I shoot him in the head. And it's not 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. It's 3 to the head. I went into bin Laden's house with a knife, a gun, and a fucking sledgehammer. And we'll go in there, we'll handle it, we'll bring out the body, and we'll tell you what you want to hear. You kill these fucking people on sight. You don't worry about it's merit-based. Do your job. Ships sail, planes fly, bombs drop, special operators kill, infantry kills, and then we can leave, and the State Department, like I said, can handle the rest. You kill these fucking people on sight. And we're going to have to do it again, and I hope you don't have to do it here, but you better be prepared to do it. So keep that emergency food. Get yourself a pump-action shotgun, and you are never out of the fight.